What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. I'm super excited to go ahead and film this video for you because today we're going to be doing a video of my 2019 Lund Renegade 1775. It's just shy of 18 feet. I believe it's 1710 is what they go ahead and they measure on the Lund website. But first, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just do a walkthrough on the outside of the boat with the cover on, kind of tell you about the outside of the features. We'll work to the front of the boat all the way back to the motor. Then we'll take the cover off and we'll go through all the compartments. So here she is, 2019 Lund Renegade 1775. Like I said, this thing is just shy of 18 feet. It's about 1710. I got the cover started to pull off. But we'll go ahead and we'll start at the front of the boat. So I got the profile performance winch there. I do have the swing away tongue with the tongue lock and even a lock back here. You just can never be too safe. But you'll notice that I have the cover. This is the cover that you get from Lund. And basically the way that this snaps in, there's a groove on the bottom, and then there's, let's see if I can grab, there's these little clips. These little clips just go right on the inside of that groove, and then that's how that cover stays on the boat. You can even go ahead, you can trailer with it. I trailer with it all the time. But that's basically the way that kind of clips in. But you have this gap here, and basically the problem with it is the fact that I upgraded the All-Trax, and I'm pretty sure this cover is made when it comes with the Minn Kota Edge, and that trolling motor, like the head and everything on it, is a lot smaller. So unfortunately it doesn't fit perfectly. You can get a pocket sewn in, and that way you'll be able to clip it all the way down, but for right now I don't really want to spend the money. I'm really not too worried about it. Hopefully going to buy a house in the springtime, and it'll be in a garage by then. So yeah, you can travel, or I'll be traveling with it with that gap. I've done it before, but it's a boat, stuff's going to get wet. There's really nothing much you can do about it. I got the custom Lund trailer. I even got the upgraded wheels, and you'll see, we'll walk around on the other side here. I wanted to make sure that I had a spare tire, so I did go ahead and I got the spare tire as well. Hopefully I won't have to use it, but I don't want to be stranded on the side of the road and not be able to get my boat out if I do end up going ahead and getting a flat tire. I do have two 10-foot talons. These talons are the older version. They're not the Bluetooth ones. So basically I ended up getting an old boat that I had a tracker, and that came with one talon. And I want to get a second one because everyone knows if you just have one talon, that boat just swings. And I really got tired of sitting on the trolling motor the whole entire time, and you know, having to correct the boat every single time it was windy or if I was fishing beds. It's just really annoying. So I got a second one, and it was a different color. It was red. They didn't have a black one. The black talon is the one that came on the my tracker at the time. So I got a second one, and it was red. So what I did, and you might not be able to tell, but I plasti dipped it. I just grabbed black plasti dip and plasti dipped it so they both match, and now they're both black talons. Hey, it does the job right now, and it works perfectly fine. I have a 75 horsepower Merc 4-stroke. I did end up putting on the Spitfire 4-blade prop. I think that's a 19 pitch. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's a 19 pitch prop. This boat handles really well. I did lose some speed on it. Guys at the dealer said that I might be able to gain some speed, but that's not the case. The way that this boat's rigged right now, minus the All-Trax on my 2014 Tracker Pro Team 175, I could get around 40, 41. And this boat right now, I'm only getting about 35, 36. Honestly, probably average of like 35. But you know, I might go ahead and swap that prop out, maybe go stainless steel and go to a 3-blade again, and maybe that'll go ahead and I'll be able to get a little bit more speed out of it. But I'm gonna stop talking. We'll go ahead, take the cover off, we'll go through the boat. Before I hop in, I did want to say that you can put a 90 horsepower motor on this boat. I ended up putting the 75 on this boat. That's a story for another time as to why, and kind of how this boat got fully rigged. But yeah, we'll worry about that another time. So yeah, so you can put a 90 horse on it. Just thought I'd go ahead, throw that in there. All right, so we got the cover off, and this is what she looks like. Now for the good stuff. So, like I said, I previously had a 2014 Tracker, and this boat has way more storage and way more room, especially in the back of the boat. The back of the boat, that deck is massive. You can easily fish 3 people out of this boat. But we'll go ahead, we'll do the same thing, and we'll go ahead and start at the front of the boat, and then we'll work our way back. We'll hop in the boat. All right, it's getting windy, so hopefully you can hear me. We'll start at the front of the boat. I have an 80-pound Ultrex that I went ahead, iPilot. It doesn't have the iLink or whatever, that I went ahead and installed. Just so you guys know, those that are looking to upgrade, if you have an 80-pound Fortrex, the whole pattern, when you go ahead and mount this, is the same. So I didn't need to do anything different. When I went ahead, I mounted this whole thing myself. It was actually pretty easy. The whole pattern is the same, so you don't got to drill any new holes. So I do have the 80-pound Ultrex. I do have the Garmin Panoptics on here. This thing is pretty sick. It does take a little bit to get used to. For me, it wasn't just a plug and play. It took a little bit to get dialed in. And of course, I got the 12-inch Garmin up front. That is the 126 SV Ultra. I went ahead and I swapped over from Lowrance to Garmin's, and I originally bought a 93 SV, which you can see is at the dash, and I put that up front, and I had my Lowrance. I had an HDS7 at the console. Well, what I did is I decided that I wanted something bigger up at the bow of the boat, since that's where I'm spending most of my time, and I went ahead, went back to Bass Pro Shops about a week later, and I upgraded to the 12-inch graph. So we'll hop in the boat, and then we'll go through everything else that I got this thing rigged up, and show you what else we got to offer. All right, hopping up to the front. I mean, this deck is a pretty good sized deck for a boat that's shy of 18 feet. As I mentioned, we got the 12-inch Garmin up at the dash. Got that mounted up and over with this bracket here. Spot lock with the Ultrex. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone that buys the Ultrex, the main reason why you're buying that motor, or that trolling motor, is for spot lock. It's incredible. It's worth every penny. I would highly recommend it. But that's just my personal opinion. Especially fishing deep water, drop shotting, vertical jigging, or just out deep cranking or whatever. If it's super windy, I was out on Jordan Lake about 2 months ago, and it was probably blowing about 30 miles an hour out there. Complete white caps. I had water coming over the front of my boat, and that Ultrex kept me there the whole entire time. So definitely well worth it. Now hopping up into the compartments, get that net out of there. This is your rod storage. So what I did, as you can see here, they're just laying down in there. I ain't got the tubes in here. The reason why I don't have the tubes in there is because for me, I mean, I think I have about 14 or 15 rods in there. It was super difficult getting the rods in and out, even with the rod sleeves and everything like that. Like the way that the tubes are mounted in there, the first two on the far, like over up in here where the rod tubes would be, the two that were over here were curved, and the way that it was really hard to get that rod in there, and I didn't want to snap it. I didn't want you know, I didn't want to do any damage to the rod, so that was kind of the annoying part about it. So I just took it completely out, and I personally like it way better with just my rods laying down there, and I could easily fit about 20 rods in there. I think I could fit probably about 25 if I really wanted to, but I got about 15 in there, and that does just fine. So that's the rod locker. One thing that I do really like too is these locks are like legit, like they actually snap down. Unlike the ones on the Tracker, which those Tracker locks, unless they've switched it, these are specific Lund locks where the keys aren't just universal. The ones out on the Trackers, you could go ahead and you could take a knife and turn that thing, and at least on mine, you could go ahead and get those locks out. These locks are legit locks. I'm pretty impressed with the locks, and especially with Lund. These Renegades are fairly new for them. They got in the you know, the John boat style aluminum boats. for bass fishing, and they've done a pretty good job. So then we have your center box. The only thing I wish they have is I wish they had the gas pistons to keep this up, because this puts a lot of pressure on here. But for now, that thing's staying fine, really not a big deal. There's my spinnerbait box, and then here is pretty much where I have all my tackle. It's fairly deep the way that I have this kind of laid out. I got other boxes back here. You can put some even up higher if you really wanted to, but this is just the way that I currently have it laid out. And you could definitely put probably 2 more boxes here. You probably fit at least 4 or 5 more boxes just in the center one right here. We'll close that. And then you have this one. This does not lock. I don't think you can get a lock for this one. You can see it's a different shape. These are the circular, and this is just your regular handle. And this is where I have other baits. I got an extra pair of shoes in there. I got a bunch of line back there. Yeah, that's that. So nothing really special. Put those shoes back in there. And then you have another storage over here. And look at, like, this thing isn't even full. I could easily go ahead and put more boxes in here if I really, really wanted to. But for right now, the way my boat's laid out, it's easy to swap boxes in and out if I want to. But you know, it is what it is. Everyone's gonna have their boat laid out. This is just the way that I have my boat laid out. So yeah, we'll go ahead, we'll close that. So then we have the console. And I am super impressed with this console. It is a full fiberglass console. Okay, look at it. You got the sparkles, everything in there. This thing is legit. If I'm not mistaken, these consoles are the same exact size consoles that you're gonna get on the Pro V 2075 editions. And I mean, you can go ahead, sit in this cockpit here. You got plenty of room. I mean, my tracker, the problem with the tracker is there wasn't much leg room. So you're pretty much having your feet up, and the dash on the trackers came a lot lower. So you didn't have as much space. I mean, I'm only 5'8", and I got plenty of room in this. I did end up going ahead, and I got the tilt steering, so I can tilt this up, and I can tilt it down. So I definitely think that that was a great addition, because what I did notice on the ones that weren't tilt steering is this steering wheel came down really, really low. I think it might actually, I think it's actually like that. Hopefully you guys can see that, but that was just, it's too awkward. So I went ahead and I got the tilt, and I have it about there, and that's just what I personally like when I'm going ahead and I'm driving this boat. Like I said, we do have the 93 SV up at the dash. I'm eventually, maybe on this boat, maybe not on this boat. I've been toying around with getting a second 93 SV, just for one for, you know, graphing and my charts, and then a second one on the right, and that's going to be all my sonar, you know, down scan and everything like that. All the switches are actually really nice switches. You got your master power, you have your nav lights, your interior lights, and then you have your horn. We go over on the other side, you have your live well, and then you have your recirculate and your pump out, and then you have your bilge, and then your accessory switch. I did go ahead and I added speakers in here. You can get the Lund model with the speakers already in it, but I think it was like $550 or something like that for those ones that you can get from Lund. These are the 6.5-inch speakers. I got 2 of them. I got one right there, and then I have one right there. My wife actually ended up, we were going to put these in the tracker at the time, and then I'll kind of talk about in another video what happened in the tracker and why I got into this Lund that we were going to put in the tracker, but we ended up just putting it in the Lund and saved a lot of money not spending $550 on the speakers. We ended up just getting these installed here, and it was more than half the cost savings, so that definitely worked out. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention before we go to the back of the boat is you have a little center storage here, and it's a cooler. You can get this boat, the boat comes with the cooler, and I basically just got some stuff that, this is kind of what I use as my day box, just for stuff that's easy access. You got hooks, I got a scale, I'll put packages of bait, like if I'm fishing the spawn, I'll put a bunch of plastics in there, and it's a decent sized cooler. You can go ahead and you can take it out, and if you want it in there, if you don't, like I said, I use it just because it keeps stuff dry, and that's just my personal day box. We'll go over on your co-angler or passenger side. You have a 3-rod holder, and then your rods can lay right along the side of that deck. All right, so now we're moving to the midsection of the boat. You can already see I got a battle wound there. We ended up sewing that. I ended up going through one of the culvert tunnels, and there was a tree sticking out, and I went ahead to try to go around it, and the branch just completely sliced it open. So hey, it's a boat, it's gonna happen. Can replace it if I want to. But this whole middle seat lifts up. And this is what I use. I have a couple extra reels in here, and I just have my life jackets. I'm sure there's probably a better way or better life jackets to get. I could probably get those ones with the CO2 cartridge in it, but I really don't want to spend that money. And I've also heard of people going ahead and they use those and they keep them in their boat, and next thing you know, they come out in your boat and they get super pressurized and they expand, they blow up, whatever. So that's just fine. You can put a lot of stuff under there. You come over here under the driver's seat, and this is where I have my tools. I have my live well divider, I got a first aid kit, I got a drill, and a socket set, and then of course my fire extinguisher. So that's how I have that laid out. We go back to the back of the boat here. I have a baggie just full of old plastics, nice little swim bait, thanks Chad. And then I got a bunch of boxes. That was pretty much my top water box, and then I got a bunch of big 12-inch worms, some extra hooks, and I have the sticks in here pretty much. All right, so the sticks. So the reason why I have those in there is because I do notice that there's a lot of condensation that gets in this boat, even with the cover on. Like right now, it hasn't rained in a while, and this is wet. So I have those, just kind of stick it up, and basically what I'll do, I'll just put this, not like that exaggerated because I have stuff down in there right now, but that way my hatches can breathe. That's one thing that I would say is definitely a negative. I don't love that I have to do that, but it's really not that big of a deal to me. So we'll go ahead, we'll shut that. So moving to the live well, you do have a pretty generous live well. This thing is fairly deep. This is a lot deeper, and it's a lot bigger than the one that I had in my tracker. I feel like the tracker one was a little bit more narrower, and it definitely didn't go as deep. It kind of comes down in a V here. I got all my call tags here for when I'm fishing tournaments. This boat is a great boat for people that want to get into bass fishing. You don't want to end up spending $80,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on a bass boat, especially fiberglass. I mean, I fished at BASS Open Tournament with guys that had $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 bass boats. I think it was about a 52 boat tournament, I think. And we took second in it, and it was pretty awesome because we had the smallest boat, the smallest motor, and we still competed with those guys. So you don't always need to have the biggest, fanciest boat, is kind of the moral of the story here. Go ahead, open this last compartment, and this is where I have my tools, miscellaneous stuff. These do have drain plugs in them, which is kind of nice. So if you do get water in there, you can use these as a cooler if you want to. Put a bunch of ice in there, plug it. Yeah. All right, and then you go all the way to the back of the boat. I got my transom saver there. We're gonna move to the battery compartment. Pretty big compartment. Now I know you can go ahead and you can buy all the fancy $200, $300, $400 batteries. These batteries will last me about 3 or 4 years, and I'm totally fine spending $80 on batteries versus $200, $300 on them, or even more for ones that'll last about, you know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years. Just the way that I prefer to do it. I rather save the money, and then at the end of the day, it's just something that works for me. It may not work for you. You might have better or different preferences. And then I have my main cranking battery with my power on-off switch to cut all power, you know, in the boat, which is really great to have. You've heard about stories that talons or power poles will go down while you're driving on the highway, and you got to worry about it with that. Like I said, we go to the back of the boat pretty much. We'll hop down here. I got my 75 horsepower Mercury 4-stroke. I love the 4-stroke. Mercury has been really great to me on the boats that I have had. And then we got my brackets with the 10-foot talons, obviously dual talons as you guys saw. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe, like, comment, let me know if you have any questions about this boat for those who are looking to get into one, or you want to know how I have stuff rigged up. I don't think I forgot anything. I went through pretty much everything throughout the boat that you really want or need to know about. I'm super excited to go ahead and get out on the water for this springtime down here in North Carolina, especially because the biggins are going to be spawning here in about a month and a half or so. or they'll be pre-spawn. They won't be full-blown spawn. But we'll go ahead and we'll definitely get some videos of that. But please let me know what your thoughts. If there's anything else that you guys want to see, I'm more than happy to go ahead and film it and go ahead and answer any questions that y'all have. And we'll go ahead and see you guys on the water. We'll go ahead, we'll see you later. Really appreciate all the support. For those who have subscribed, like my my YouTube channel, please go follow me on Instagram. It's KJ Farwell. And we'll go ahead and we'll catch you on the next one.